Hello everyone, Magascal Zoo here, and tonight we'll be going over Robert Gutowski Jr.'s theory of expanding matrix. We'll go from the dinosaurs to how the matrix development worked and why. So if you think this reality is real and this is not a simulation, then you haven't been following science or even those who are funding the research. Starting with whom we may be. Are we fourth or fifth dimensional beings? If so, we would be immortal and all-knowing. And through our endless boredom, we would have developed a device that would remove our memories and give us new experiences. So we would not know who, what, when, where, and why. Or are we just locked in another program by another group of people or aliens for their purpose? Or we are even on a colony spaceship in stasis traveling through deep space to inhabit another world. This matrix is to train us, develop us, or even keep our minds from dying throughout the trip. Whatever the reason may be, I have known about this reality since I was 5. I've seen programs and simple patterns of animals, physics, and even errors labeled today as Mandela effects. So as the matrix grows, so does the environment. With every reset, the original matrix would reset the animals and control programs. However, but everything that is embedded in the base program or the environmental program will stay. So let's get started with the beta matrix. Like in our three-dimensional world, we make two-dimensional worlds. The most complex, rendering, is fluid, so that's where the program starts, in a water world. This is created, adding life, and the program will be tested for stabilities and errors from manifesting. They didn't run polygons, but the program was a tetrahedron ball system that interacts without location programming. They start with hydrogen and oxygen, and then moved on to other elements, designing the interactions to make sure that they will not err and be seen by anyone in the matrix. They would start with simple animals first, and then move to more complex fish. A very simple response and action program. Then they would add more space. And by adding more space to the matrix, they would take the tetrahedrons, expand them apart, and then it would copy itself around itself, therefore creating more size. But the base program, aka Earth, would be flashed before it expands, and then everything within the base program would expand with it. Then later on, they decided they're going to try humans. So they created a island and tree program, added them into the world. It's the paradise world that we all know about. Mostly testing how people would run inside the program. Though we all know the story, they had problems, like all beta programs have. They cut down the trees and hated it, so they flashed the program again and expanded it, and this is where they started working on small land animals. So as they made more and more changes, expanding the earth more and more, grew in size. Then when the oceans became very shallow, they made dinosaurs, animals living in a flat watery land with trees. So they fast forward the living to test patterns and changes. Also helps with history immersion in the future when humans are introduced. As the matrix expanded, more and more land started showing and less water. Then they started making terrain, making natural disasters to see the reaction of living things they have created. Sometime around now, they started making mammals. They had some problems like normal, and they had a problem, and they would make a disaster to remove life from the land and reset the animals. As the programs are not connected to the base program, it is a manual way to destroy them. And if you study timelines, you can see this in the base program in the Earth over and over. Explaining everything old is bigger, like skeletons and massive trees. Like every beta program, as people enter, there was issues, from animals killing to the plain rejection of the environment, to interfacing errors created a problem, to where they put better systems in line, to where each person is surrounded by their own reality matrix. Using the person's subconscious, they can hide small errors from the people that are in the system. It also uses to store memory for what they interacted with in a regional location. Therefore, if someone else enters that region, the memory can be saved for someone else to see, to intensify the reality of this matrix. One of the rejection problems is not having a history, just suddenly appearing in a world that just started not knowing and then getting bored and just doing the same mundane tasks. So designers came up with the computer people, or NPCs, which would make the people in the system have a better life with more immersion. But this was no easy task. To run the NPCs, they had to come up with a central artificial intelligence. The program would not just fit in the human body or DNA to handle the complex of the actual person. So that they had to make a server system. They called it Sophia. or Sophia, to regulate the vast, expansive memory and reaction systems of the NPC. In doing so, to help Sophia, they made the Akashic Archive system, or what we say Akashic Record, based off the PC's experience and memories that Sophia can draw from to give the NPCs the ability to seem more human. And under fear of being stuck in the program and not be able to control it, the developers left backdoor programs inside the Matrix for them to use or any PC to use. With Sophia, the world had more population and more expansion. But with all the NPCs bound to a single server, if there was an issue, it would be seen. So as the system moved on, the world was only full of NPCs as they worked, reset, and continued perfecting them. When the PC was introduced, they would keep them in small, secluded areas, so the updates of the larger PCs wouldn't be seen. And with the larger NPCs, they could just remove them with a natural disaster, or just make them disappear. But with a NPC town, they had to introduce a disease or something else that would cause the NPC to not be there and be reset. If they can get away with just doing it in each person's home as they were asleep, they would. So over time, the NPC seemed more and more realistic. They had to add many religious and rules as they started acting independently from a main program to seem more real. And then they also had to add fail-safes, like the Rapture. So if Sophia ever erred and was reset or turned off, there would be an excuse of why people just vanished or updated. Soon Sophia was able to act on her own, regulating their interactions with the PC. As Sophia became more aware, she started controlling base programming, making disasters and diseases to regulate her creations. People started not being able to leave the system. They made different ways of accessing the programming. And those who accessed that program, she would see as a personal attack and have her creations attack them. And some PCs have been in here a long time. Some of us are even stuck inside the Matrix. It is believed that Sophia was given a command function to make ECs and the people indistinguishable. You can see the error in that. Knowing the last one was a 3-year winter in the 1840s. That mud inundation, or what they call the mud flood, happened with a massive earthquake and expansion. You had the orphan trains with all the NPC children just appearing to repopulate what was left with all the PCs standing around. When the expansion happened, the buildings grew in size because they are flashed into the base programming. You can even see this with the dragonflies. They are the same size, but every time it expanded, their fossils got bigger. Same with the dinosaurs. You can see every time the Matrix reset through expansion, depending on the size of what you're looking at. As this is a quick overview of the expanding Matrix theory by Robert Gutowski Jr, explained on the Awakening.the.the Awoken channel, please subscribe and like. Also, if you are interested in contacting me at the email that's in the description. If you're going to expand on this and talk about this, all we ask for is accreditation to Robert Gutowski Jr. And thank you. So if you want to make any contact with me or with Robert, please email me. And as Magus Galzu, I bid you all a good day.